So, Sarah, before partnering with Works, what were some of the biggest frustrations that you had around payroll and HR, and what kind of impact did that have on you personally?
I would say the biggest frustration prior to working with Works is all the different payroll services that payroll softwares we were using. And primarily QuickBooks is what we would use. And so it was really time consuming for my team to run payrolls, jumping in and out of different QuickBooks. Also, at the time, we had staff accountants running payroll. So we would have, each staff accountant running 5 or 6 payrolls. And so we didn't have anyone in the office that was really trained good on payroll processes and procedures of that one person or 2 people or whatever. All they did was payroll. We had the staff that would get distracted by payroll here and there when they're trying to produce a financial statement or a tax return or something. So that was probably the number one frustration that we had. And so we restructured, we started partnering with Works and using the iSolve software to where the one person and now two, we're large enough now that we have 2 people on a team. We actually have a team of 2 instead of a team of 1, where they log into iSolved and all the payrolls are there, one right after another. And it's so much quicker to run the payrolls, and my staff accountants and managers can just focus on their financials and tax returns. So it's made them more efficient.
What was the tipping point that made you choose to partner with Works? What was that big event that happened that you said something's got to give?
One, the frustrations that we just talked about, the staff getting distracted by payrolls and stuff, but probably the big tipping point was when Matt invited us up for an office visit. I guess it was in July of 23, maybe. And we just hands-on, we got to see what Works was doing, really face to face with the payroll team. And I realized like, hey, I think this would be a really good direction for the firm to go. And we really started with the end in sight. So we didn't want to start with a smaller, not so good payroll software. We wanted to start with iSolved. And so we knew we wanted to start with iSolved because we want to be this big payroll company. And so we wanted to treat it like a big payroll company, even though we weren't there yet. And we're still not there. We're growing, but we're still not obviously where we want to be. And Works gave us that ability to be able to start off on iSolved, where iSolved would never have given us a second look, because we didn't have enough employees headcount. So Works enabled us to be able to use that software and to get our foot in the door and to learn that software and help us get to where we want to go. We are headed there.
One of the things that has been clear in talking with you from the very beginning of all of this is that you did have a very clear picture of where you wanted to go as it relates to offering payroll. Talk a little bit about that vision and where you see yourself growing into.
Um, I don't know what the employee headcount's going to be in 10 years, but it's going to be way up in the thousands. Lord willing, that is our goal. That is our vision. We want a payroll company that is marketed completely separate from our firm, that we are offering some of our clients is going to be payroll only services. And we have lots of payroll only services, payroll only clients now that we're not doing their books and accounting. And we have we have developed a good marketing brand here in Texarkana because we're the only locally owned payroll company. We would have clients that were using, these big box payroll providers, and they're very frustrated with their customer service that they're receiving. Every time they would call, I can name them, Paylocity, Paychex, ADP, whoever, every time they would call their customer service, they would get a different person. They wouldn't get responsive services. And so I saw a need and jumped to fulfill that. So We have brought in a lot of payroll only clients. We only want to grow that. But what's really cool is when we're marketing our payroll services and then we bring them in to talk about our payroll services, a lot of times they come on for accounting and taxes because they're like, oh, cool, you can do it all here in wealth management. So it's a really good service that bundles well. And payroll services make your accounting and tax clients more sticky, as we like to say, because it's perceived to be harder to change payroll services because you don't want to screw up your employees' checks. Every employer is scared of screwing up their employees' checks because then they run the risk of losing their employee, and that is employer's worst nightmare.
Walk me through any changes that you guys had to make internally as you began to partner with Works.
It was an investment. It's a financial investment, is what it is. So we we actually took one person on our team who was a part-time staff accountant. And we talked to her and we said, okay, you're doing really good on payroll. You have very good attention to detail and you're driven. What would you think about this opportunity of being our payroll specialist? And we shared our vision and our dream with her. And so she bought into it and she did amazing. So then we were able to pull the payrolls off of everyone else and really invest in this one person in the office that is now our payroll manager on our team of two, which will continue to grow. But yeah, that's an internal change that we definitely had to make staff wise.
Earlier, you mentioned that you had staff accountants running payroll. Any words of wisdom for other accounting firms out there that currently have their staff or even managers to some extent running payroll?
Yeah, it is not efficient. It's very disruptive to your accounting production team. So if you at all possibly can, I would have that one person in the office that's doing all of the payroll processes. Now, of course, everybody's fear is if you have one person knowing a software, doing payroll, what if that one person leaves voluntarily or involuntarily or is sick in the hospital or has a wreck. So one thing that we always had as a fail-safe was one person in the office would do 1 to 2 payrolls a week just to keep them familiar with the software. So if your main person was out for some reason, you had that backup. So we always kept that. And at the time, before we grew, it was a staff accountant. So we had one person as a staff accountant that would spend probably 3 hours a week just doing a couple little payrolls, and it would rotate every time. That's just smart staffing, I think. But now, since we have two people on the team, we don't have to bother our staff accountants at all. And let me tell you, the staff accountants, they don't like running payroll. It was annoying to them to have to stop what they're doing to meet their production goals and produce financial statements and managers doing tax returns. They don't want to mess with payroll stuff. So it's just made everybody happier.
We know that converting payroll systems for the companies that we work with can be challenging. Um, how have your clients responded to that conversion as you began our partnership?
Um, the clients have responded very well. I'm thinking back to when they signed the forms a couple years ago. We were proactive in our communication with them, letting them know, hey, listen, we're growing our payroll company. We're starting a new business. It's payroll only. And as fellow small business owners, our clients were very happy for us. They were excited about the opportunity for us as well as the benefits that they would have. They have this app, they have time tracking, they have all these benefits that comes along with the iSoft software that we were offering through Works. So they were really excited about it. We explained, the forms that they needed to sign and all of that. We were a little nervous that like the description on the ACH coming out of the client's account said Patrick Accounting on it. And so we had a couple questions from some overly analytical clients of like, well, what is this? Well, that's the software that we're using. Like, okay, it's cool. So really we probably had 2 or 3 clients that asked questions about that. So in our mind, we had built up, well, we got to sign all these forms. Clients really, they trust us. We had developed that rapport with clients. And so it went very smooth.
And I know that not everything goes as smooth as we wish. And so talk to me a little bit about the lessons that you learned early on, and if you could go back and change some things about the beginning of our relationship, what comes to mind?
Um, if I could go back and change anything, I would be pricing my clients higher. My first clients that I signed up for payroll only, I can think back to you would probably know the name if I threw it out there. For a few clients, they were really complicated with a bunch of time clocks, with a bunch of different locations and departmentalizing all this. I definitely underpriced them, so I'm gradually increasing that price. Knowing the fee structure for all of the odd and end charges that are out there, the quarterly reports or the time clocks, the time tracking, W-2s and that sort of thing. I was just uneducated on the front end on the fees of it. So I would have been better pricing those front end clients. But that's a balance sheet item, right? I promise you that the ones that are signing on now, they're priced a lot better. And I have been pleasantly surprised at how well our pricing has been received by our clients. They're willing to pay more to us for payroll pricing because they know we're here local, we're in town, the same person answers the phone. If they have a problem, it's fixed. Like they know they're in really good hands and they're willing to pay that extra premium because they know we take really good care of them. And it's that peace of mind there that I was just nervous about pricing up front.
So you are now in the process of doing another conversion. So your relationship with Works is coming to a close, and we have spent our time crying about it on our end, but we're super excited to see you launch directly with iSolved. Talk to me a little bit about some of the milestones or markers in your journey that you knew now was the time to launch out, go directly as a reseller of iSolve in their partnership, and leave the Works umbrella?
It was really all about employee headcount. That's really what it boils down to with iSolved is, you have to have that headcount there. But partnering with Works allowed us to be able to, for our team, to learn the software, learn the processes, get our clients familiar with the interface, all of that while building our headcount. What I didn't want to do was use a service like ADP or there's other, out of the box payroll services and grow our head count and then have to move all of our clients over to a completely different platform. They would have to learn a new interface. The team would have to learn a new interface. Works gave us that capability of being able to grow inside the environment that we want to be in ultimately. And so when our headcount got high enough and I feel like our team is comfortable enough with the software, I was like, okay, I think we're ready to start that conversion process.